Now let's see the benefits of the iterator pattern. So we want to replace this list with a fixed size array. So a string array, and here we set it to a new string array of 10. Now we have a few breaking changes here, but that is perfectly fine because all these breaking changes are within the browse history class. Our main class is not affected as a result of this change. This is the benefit of the iterator pattern. So let's quickly fix the broken code. Here in the push method, we cannot add something to an array. We can only set an item at a given index. So first we need to declare another private field of type integer called count. This will tell us how many URLs we have stored in this array. So to add a new URL to the history, we set URLs of count. So initially count is 0. And with this, we can set the first item in this array. We set this to this URL parameter, and then we'll increment the count field. Or we can do this on the same line. That is cleaner. Now in the pop method, instead of doing all this work, first we need to decrement the count field. So count minus minus, and then we'll return the URL at this index. So return URLs of count. Or we could do this on the same line. So we can put the decrement operator before this field. This will decrement the value of this field first, and then it will return the URL at this index. Now we have a couple of compilation errors in the list iterator class. As I told you, this is perfectly fine because this is the class that knows how to iterate over a history object. So it has the intimate knowledge of this browse history class. It knows that this class has a private field called URLs, and previously it used to be a list object. Now it is an array. So technically, we don't need this list iterator anymore. We can completely delete it and create a new iterator called array iterator. So let me delete this class. Now we create a new class, public class array iterator, that implements the iterator interface. Let's implement the methods. Now, just like before, we need to pass the history object we want to iterate over via the constructor. So let's bring up the generate palette, create a constructor. Here we add a parameter called browse history. And then we can create a field and initialize it in this constructor, like this. Now, just like before, we also need to know how many items we have visited, so we can represent that using a private field called count or index. Now, in our hasNext method, we return a Boolean expression, index less than history.count. Okay? Next, in the current method, we return history.urls of index. And finally, in the next method, we increment the index field. As simple as that. Now, in our history class, in the create iterator method, instead of returning a list iterator, we return an array iterator. So all these changes that we made were within the browse history class. Our main class is not affected.